So the news out of West Bengal recently, it's been pretty tough to hear. Really focusing on this alleged brutal gang rape on a law college campus in Kolkata this May.
Yeah, truly disturbing. And the man at the center of the allegations, Manojit Misra.
Right. And that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
Because this incident, awful as it isn't the whole story, is it?
Not even close. It's really just the latest and maybe most horrific chapter. What we want to do in this deep dive is go beyond those headlines from May.
Okay. So we're going to unpack what looks like a decade-long history here.
Sure.
A trail of criminal allegations against this same man, Misra.
Exactly. We need to look at how, despite charge after charge, serious ones going back to 2013, how he allegedly stayed free, kept his influence, even worked at the college.
Which just raises huge questions, about the system, about the college itself, even potential political connections. Right?
Absolutely. The goal is to try and figure out how a pattern like this could go on for so long, and what that tells us about safety, about trust, especially on a college campus.
It feels like this recent incident has sort of ripped the lid off something that's been simmering for a very long time.
That's a good way to put it. It's brought this whole troubling history into the open.
Okay, let's start with the incident itself, the one in May.
Yeah.
What are the specific allegations there? Because they are brutal.
They really are. Misra is accused of luring a female student onto the campus, then allegedly drugging her, gang raping her.
And it gets worse.
It does. The allegations include filming the assault and then hitting her over the head with a hockey stick. Just unbelievable violence.
You can only imagine the shock in the college community. Just reeling.
Completely. But as shocking as that is, understanding how we got here means going back. Way back.
Right, because this wasn't out of the blue. When we looked into his past, it wasn't an isolated act. It seems like the end point of something that had been building for years.
A very long trajectory, yeah. And largely unchecked, it appears.
Okay, so let's trace this back. The police records, they actually show this pattern starting way earlier than you might think.
How early are we talking?
Back in 2013.
Yeah.
Barely a year into his studies, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, he was allegedly involved in stabbing a classmate in the chest.
Stabbing! Good grief. So an FIR was filed, right? An investigation started.
An FIR was filed, yes. That's the first information report, the initial police complaint.
Yeah.
But then, here's the thing. He just sort of vanished.
Vanished?
Disappeared from campus for 3 whole years, and crucially, without being arrested for that alleged stabbing.
3 years. That's quite something. An alleged violent crime, and he's just gone. No consequences at that point.
Apparently not. Then he reappears.
Yeah.
In 2017.
Okay. And what happens then? Does he face the music for the 2013 incident?
Doesn't seem like it. Instead, he gets accused of vandalism soon after returning.
Vandalism. So another incident. Was action taken this time?
Well, police sources say an investigation happened, but no action was taken. Again.
So the pattern is already starting to emerge here, isn't it? Alleged incident, report, then nothing concrete happens.
Exactly. And it didn't stop there. The years after 2017, more complaints kept surfacing.
Like what kind of complaints?
We're talking allegations of wrongfully confining students, extorting them, molestation, outraging modesty, serious stuff.
And the response?
A senior police officer is quoted saying, still no action was taken. It's quite stark.
It really is. So these are multiple separate allegations piling up.
Yes. And then in 2022, there's a formal complaint. A first-year student reports ragging, that intense hazing or bullying.
Right, often involving abuse, a serious issue in itself.
That plus sexual harassment and threats. A formal complaint lodged. The sources say it similarly went unheeded, just ignored, apparently.
It's hard to fathom. You hear this from former classmates, too, right? They knew about his past.
Yeah, former classmates confirmed he'd been booked before.
Right.
For things like extortion, molestation, wrongful confinement. They actually objected when he came back in 2017.
They objected because of the pending charges.
Precisely. They knew he had this history, these pending charges, and they didn't want him back in college life. But he came back anyway.
Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many red flags were there? How many warnings?
It seems like quite a few. And it wasn't just physical stuff or extortion. Students also brought up online harassment.
Online harassment? How so?
They alleged Misra and some associates would target female students specifically, morphing their photos, digitally altering them.
To embarrass or humiliate them, presumably.
Exactly. Sharing those photos, recording videos, posting things online to shame them. It's a whole other layer of alleged intimidation. Psychological warfare almost.
So you've got Physical violence, extortion, molestation, harassment, both offline and online. Quite a rap sheet of allegations over a decade.
Which brings us right back to that central question. How did he stay free? Why wasn't he stopped?
Well, the police perspective is interesting. They do acknowledge arresting him.
They did arrest him.
In several past incidents, according to police sources. But these were mostly for things like group fights, apparently, not necessarily the more serious individual allegations we discussed.
Okay, so arrests happened. But what came of them?
This is key. They say he always obtained bail and returned to campus. Always got out.
Always got bail.
Yeah. His last arrest, they mentioned, was actually quite recent, March or April of this year.
Just before the May incident.
Yes. But it was for an unrelated case at a different police station, Cosba Police Station. And again, he was released on bail from that too.
So the police argument is, we did arrest him sometimes.
Right. But the students have a strong counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
They basically say, sure, arrests happen, but arrests without convictions, that just allowed him to keep doing what he was doing.
So the arrests didn't lead to actual consequences, like a revolving door. In, out, back on campus.
That seems to be the student's perspective. No real accountability that stuck that actually stopped the alleged behavior.
Okay, so that's the lack of accountability on the legal side. But then there's the college itself. He didn't just stay a student, did he?
No. And this is where it gets even more complicated. After graduating, Misra actually got a job at the college.
A job? What kind of job?
A temporary staff position. So he's no longer just a student with a troubled past. He's now part of the college staff working there.
How does someone with that alleged history get a staff position at the same institution?
Well, according to reports, including statements from college officials like the vice principal, his appointment was on the recommendation of the college's governing body.
The governing body. Who heads that?
It's chaired by a Ashok Deb, who is an MLA from the Trinamool Congress.
Okay, so the ruling party in West Bengal. An MLA is chairing the body that recommended Misra for a staff job.
That's the reported connection, and it doesn't stop there. Misra also apparently presented himself as a recruiter for the Trinamool Congress's student wing.
Really?
Yeah, sources say he used to spend a lot of time in the union's office, maintaining influence that way, it seems.
So you've got the job recommendation links to a governing body chaired by a ruling party MLA, and Misra himself acting like a party student recruiter on campus.
Correct. And that combination, the staff position plus these alleged political links, well, that's what fuels the really serious allegations. The idea that he had protection.
Protection from scrutiny, from consequences.
Yeah.
Because of political connections.
That's exactly what's being alleged. It paints a picture, doesn't it? How someone might operate with impunity if they have that kind of backing, or at least the perception of it.
It certainly adds another layer to why those earlier complaints might have gone unheeded.
It provides a possible and deeply troubling explanation for that pattern of alleged inaction we talked about. This combination of perceived influence and official position. It's potent.
And as you'd expect, this is blown up politically now.
Oh, absolutely. The main opposition party, the BJP, they've jumped right on this.
What are they saying?
They're pointing the finger directly at the ruling Trinamool Congress and the state police, accusing them of, and this is a quote, nurturing a monster.
Strong words.
Very. Their social media statement basically said, Misra isn't just some random failure. He's a symbol of how the state government and the police supposedly bred a beast under state protection. They're claiming deliberate neglect enabled him.
Wow. So laying the blame squarely on the state and police for allowing this to happen.
That's the opposition's narrative. Now, of course, the ruling party and the police deny this.
What's the response?
They deny any deliberate inaction. Police officials tend to point back to those arrests we mentioned earlier.
The ones where he got bail.
Exactly. They use those arrests as evidence that they weren't just ignoring him completely, they were taking some action, even if it didn't ultimately stop him.
So it's a political firestorm. Accusations of protection versus denials and pointing to past arrests.
Pretty much. And caught in the middle are the college, the students, and the fundamental question of safety.
So where do things stand now? What's the fallout?
Well, immense pressure, obviously, on the college authorities, on law enforcement. They have a lot of explaining to do.
Understandable.
And beyond this specific case, activists and legal experts are weighing in. They're saying this whole situation really shines a harsh light on persistent worries.
Worries about what specifically?
About campus safety in general in West Bengal, and maybe more broadly. But also, crucially, about political interference in policing. That accusation keeps coming up.
The idea that police action or inaction might be influenced by political considerations.